Millions of Americans this morning face the threat of flooding. Torrential downpours of swollen rivers in Illinois and Missouri. Mandatory evacuations are underway at this hour. In Missouri, flooding is blamed for at least 13 deaths.
The Mississippi River could reach about 14 feet above its flood stage in St. Louis. Flooding may affect about 18 million people in states along the river from Illinois to Louisiana. Anna Werner is in West Alton, Missouri, where residents have been told to get out. Anna, good morning.
Good morning. This is what you are seeing in a lot of areas around St. Louis, or they're waiting for it to happen. This is river water coming this way, and it looks like kind of just a generic area or a field, but if I walk over here, you can see where we really are. This is supposed to be the southbound lane of US 67, but as you can tell, there's no divided highway here. Because of the severity of this flooding, the National Guard has been activated statewide to help fight the floods.
Back in 2015, I was a part of the helicopter rescue missions, saving people from those historic and epic floods along the Mississippi River. Now, conducting these rescue missions is dangerous. And in times of massive floods and epic disasters, it becomes even more dangerous. And that's mainly due to human nature, the way people behave when they find themselves in critical situations. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I can boil it down to about 2 different reactions that people have. Most people that we pick up are in a state of shock, meaning that their brain and their body are not on one accord. So we literally have to scream and try and coerce them to get into the basket. On the other side of the coin, there are the people who experience intense panic. Seeing people in that condition can be completely and totally heartbreaking because they do some of the strangest, weirdest, and most dangerous things you'll ever think of. Example, a few years ago, we were helping a family stranded on top of an RV, trapped in raging floodwaters. We lower our basket, and in my mind, the father would allow his wife and children to climb on first. But as soon as it got near, he grabs it and tries to climb in himself. Again, the man was in a state of panic, and he behaved that way. After waving him off several times, he realized what he was doing, picked up his 2 kids and put them in, and had them lifted out. Then we lifted his wife out, and finally him. I share that story with you because I need you to understand the state of panic is extremely powerful. When panic sets in, reason goes out of the window. And if you find yourself in a dangerous situation and you feel panic starting to set in, do your best just to calm down and think logically about what you need to do. Anyway, enough of that. Let me get back to again, it's 2015. We're rescuing families from rooftops from one of the worst floods of the Mississippi River that at that point in time I had ever seen. Entire neighborhoods were underwater. Farm and cropland has been destroyed. That particular day, we had made about 15 trips and saved approximately 50 people. So we're out flying around looking for the next family that we needed to pick up. Within 10 minutes, we spot them. A family, husband, wife, 2 little girls stranded on the top of their roof. Our pilot, Lester, maneuvers us into position, and I start to lower our basket. Looking down below us, you can see the fear in these 2 little girls' eyes. And if you ever found yourself in a situation where you were helping someone desperate, you know that look I'm talking about. The look where their eyes are literally speaking to you, saying, "Help me." That's what I'm looking at as our basket lowers down. The parents get the 2 girls into the basket, strapped in, and we pull them up. Then we lower it back down to get his wife. And while we're slowly racing this woman up to the helicopter, I look down and notice that her husband is pacing back and forth along the rooftop. And what was weird to me is that this man had his back turned to his wife, looking out into the distance. Turning my attention away from him back to his wife to check on her, when I looked again, this man was jumping up and down, pointing at something in the water and looking in that direction about 175 yards away. You can see clear as day this creature swimming across the top of the water. Black fur, his arms raising out of the water and stroking forward, but not like a human would do it. It was more like a huge stroke of a doggy paddle, just pulling itself through the water. And this creature was headed straight for that house. Looking back down, the husband is looking up at me, pointing at this thing, and I can't hear exactly what this man is saying because the noise from the blades are way too loud. But I could see what he was mouthing to me, and it was, "Get me the hell out of here." And the worst thing about the situation was his wife was just getting to the helicopter. We had to wait for her to get all the way up, unstrap her, pull her in, and then lower the basket back down to him. Now, to be clear, there was a way that we could increase the speed at which we lowered the basket down to him. But then we ran the chance of losing control of it, it swinging, hitting him, and knocking him off the roof. So I reach over, tap my pilot Lester on the shoulder and said, "Lester, there's something in the water. We really need to get this guy up here." Les takes a look at this thing swimming across the water and says, "What the fuck is that?" And after seeing this creature swimming awkwardly through the water, he decided to lower the helicopter itself in order to get this man out of there quicker. Now, even in disaster situations, there are still safety protocols that each crew must abide by. But I'm proud to say that that day and that moment in time, the rule book went out the window. Let me tell you, this guy had just climbed into the basket, strapped himself in, but under those circumstances, we decided it was best that we fly off with him in tow. So as soon as he was in, we raised the helicopter higher in the air and flew off. Crazy, I know, right? But listen to this. When we finally got this guy on board, I give him a headset and we start to talk to him. Say, "Sir, what was that thing swimming in the water towards your house?" And without hesitating, he says that was a Bigfoot, a cold, wet, angry Bigfoot. Now, maybe for you, you were familiar with the existence of Bigfoot, but for me, prior to this encounter, I didn't even know that these creatures existed. But after seeing something like that, especially from the air, and realizing how big this creature had to be for me to be able to see it in such detail from about 100 to 150 yards away, that was what started me on my journey to learning and researching about these creatures. And specifically me asking some of my friends who worked rescue missions all around the country, had they ever encountered or experienced anything like this? And within 1 week, stories start flooding in. Bigfoots were being spotted in floods, wildfires, earthquakes. It seems as if every major disaster that affects us humans affects these creatures as well.